The parched landscape is deeply cracked and severely broken. Not a single drop of moisture has been miraculously spoken. I walk across the massive, shifting golden sand dunes, singing these incredibly thirsty, nomadic, arid tunes. The solar radiation bakes the terracotta soil to a crisp, while the dry wind blows past with a terrifying lisp. My canteen has been completely empty for 3 entire days, wandering endlessly through this magnificent desert haze.
The vultures circle patiently above the barren canyon ridge, a massive geographical gap without a single wooden bridge.
I strike the stretched animal skin of my tribal hand drum, waiting for the elusive, mythical rain clouds to finally come. The drought has lasted for an unprecedented, terrible decade, leaving the entirely dehydrated ecosystem completely betrayed. I seek the elusive shade of a solitary prickly cactus plant, chanting a desperate, highly repetitive survivalist chant, thus swirling into a massive, blinding cloud. The silence of the wasteland is incredibly loud. No oasis exists in this desolate, empty terrain, just an absolute devastating like the rain, pounding out this sun-baked rhythm, trapped inside a completely arid prison, beating the clay until my palms are sore, begging the sky to give us a little more. Deeply dehydrated, incredibly dry groove, forcing my exhausted, weary legs to move, navigating the extreme, punishing drought, the most brutal environment without a doubt.
The riverbed is completely devoid of any flowing streams, just the skeletal remains of our former aquatic dreams. I shake the hollow gourd filled with dried, rattling seeds, ignoring my severe, highly critical biological needs. The scorpions scurry beneath the baking, jagged rocks, while the relentless equator sun continuously mocks our pathetic, desperate attempts to invoke the heavy storm, surviving the absolute harshest terrestrial norm.
The mirage shimmers deceptively on the vast horizon line, an optical trick of an incredibly cruel, malicious design. I tap my wooden walking stick against the petrified wood, understanding the severe consequences as I probably should. The percussion echoes weakly across the desolate flatlands, played entirely by my blistered, heavy, calloused hands. We march toward the distant, hazy, purple mountain peaks, a highly dangerous journey that takes several brutal weeks. Dust swirling into a massive, blinding cloud. The silence of the wasteland is incredibly loud. No oasis exists in this desolate, empty terrain, just an absolute, devastating like a rain, pounding out this sun-baked rhythm, trapped inside a completely arid prison, beating the clay until my palms are sore, begging the sky to give us a little more. A deeply dehydrated, incredibly dry groove, forcing my exhausted, weary legs to move, navigating the extreme, punishing drought, the most brutal environment without a doubt. The heavens refuse to open their locked gates. We must accept these terribly harsh fates. Strike the earth until it finally splits wide. Nowhere for the weary travelers to hide. Slap clay, dry day, no rain, much pain, walk far, follow star. Sun-baked rhythm, trapped inside a completely arid prism, beating the clay until my palms are sore, begging the sky to give us a little more. A deeply dehydrated, incredibly dry groove, forcing my exhausted, weary legs to move, navigating the extreme, punishing drought, the most brutal environment, without a doubt. Sand blows, water goes, beat the drum, kingdom come. Listening to your incredibly raspy, unpolished the bone, a harsh, abrasive frequency that chills me to the bone. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed rocks, a remarkably gruff communication that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating barra despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty, unoiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear.
I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocals are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound I was painfully born, friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard, communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feed. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness adds a highly dramatic, intimidating weight to every single opinion that I attempt to clearly state, a remarkably gruff phenomenon that I simply cannot fix, a highly deteriorated, incredibly rough bag of vocal tricks. There is a strange, highly unconventional charm to the croak, a
as if your entire existence is obscured by a heavy smoke. I listen to the remarkably textured sound, paper-like speech, a completely unrefined frequency that nobody can teach. The hoarseness conveys a highly authentic lived-in pain, a remarkably unfiltered, entirely unpretentious vocal strain. You whisper a gruff compliment directly into my ear. The most incredibly rough, abrasive sentiment of the year. The bones are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word. The most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard, communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably reportatory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feel. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and sick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. Across the entire local bar, embrace the terribly unpolished hoarse delivery, a remarkably authentic, highly textured, Preference has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables bind together like a rusty, unoiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear. I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with the loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocal folds are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard, communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably reportatory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feat. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness has a dramatic, intimidating weight to every single indating that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has enjoyed decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty incredibly opulent parlor, escaping entirely from the drab, monochromatic outdoor squalor. The heavy drapery blocking the windows is a deep burgundy, creating an atmosphere of highly exclusive aesthetic urgency. I sink deeply into the incredibly plush, tufted upholstery, surrounded by an astonishing collection of scarlet tapestry. The illumination is provided by a rosy, flattering chandelier, making every single patron look undeniably magnificent here.
My shoes sink entirely into the remarkably thick ruby carpet, the most extravagantly designed interior on the entire market. A waitress balances a silver tray of brightly colored grenadine, the most highly saturated visual environment I have ever seen. I slide perfectly into the incredibly private circular leather booth, embracing this highly manufactured, deeply colorful truth. The wallpaper
features a velvety dark cherry damask pattern, a profoundly luxurious sanctuary comparable to the rings of Saturn. Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue, a completely flushed, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow, the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment.
The mahogany tables are polished to a highly reflective shine, while the patrons heavily consume their expensive vintage wine. I observe the incredibly rich ruby-tinted stained glass, watching the beautifully dressed, sophisticated clientele pass.
The ambient temperature is remarkably warm and inviting, perfectly complementing the deeply atmospheric ruby lighting.
A monochromatic masterpiece of absolute interior luxury,
a phenomenally expensive, highly curated sanctuary. My fingernails perfectly match the velvet cushions of the chair, a highly coordinated, deeply meticulous aesthetic affair. The bartender wipes the counter with a scarlet-colored rag, while a patron retrieves a lipstick from her expensive bag. We are utterly enveloped by this warm, undeniably rich tone, feeling like royalty sitting directly upon a comfortable throne. The aesthetic consistency is remarkably strict and severe. Absolutely no contrasting colors are ever permitted here. Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue, a completely flush, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow, the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Close the heavy doors to the mundane gray street. This highly colorful immersion is wonderfully complete. Surrender to the profoundly plush, saturated environment, the ultimate aesthetic form of luxurious retirement. Red velvet, deep sink, ruby glass, fancy drink, scarlet glow, moving slow. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrum. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red. A highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Lights dim down, rich side of town, stay inside, nowhere to hide. Plastered underground speakeasy ceiling, the massive lighting fixture, a highly dizzying feeling.
Pushed by the aggressive vibrations of the heavy band, creating a sweeping trajectory that I can barely understand. The illumination oscillates across the crowded smoky floor, pushing the patches of darkness directly toward the heavy door. A metronomic sway that hypnotizes the entire gathered crowd, while the brass instruments play incredibly, overwhelmingly loud.
I observe the heavy brass pendulum executing its massive arc, plunging half of the room into a sudden temporary dark. The rhythmic oscillation perfectly matches the drummer's steady pace, sweeping back and forth across this underground secretive space. The chains creak loudly under the immense swinging gravitational weight, a mesmerizing physics experiment happening incredibly late. The trajectory is predictable but highly visually entrancing, providing the perfect strobing illumination for our romantic romancing. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. The syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. The kinetic energy is transferred directly into the musical groove, dictating exactly how the intoxicated patrons are allowed to move. I dodge the sweeping projection of the heavy iron frame, participating actively in this highly visual optical game. The velocity reaches its maximum directly at the lowest point, a fascinating mechanical feature of this illegal basement joint. The momentum carries the structure upward to the opposing peak, a highly dynamic environment where the visual contrasts speak.
The alternating brightness causes a heavy psychological trance, a highly unpredictable, constantly shifting, illuminated dance. I track the physical arc with my completely mesmerized stare, watching the heavy brass slice through the thick cigar-filled air. The gravitational pull forces the object perfectly back into line, a remarkably consistent, mathematically flawless physical design. We are entirely subjected to the whims of the swinging light, the most dynamic, visually chaotic elements of this Friday night. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. The syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows. The alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Ground. Do not lose your balance in the alternating dark. Follow the glowing trajectory of the electrical spark. Swing left, swing right, darkness falls, then the light, watch it move. Feel the groove caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows. The alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Momentum slows, the shadow grows, fixture stops, the music drops. Entering the lavishly decorated, incredibly opulent parlor, escaping entirely from the drab, monochromatic outdoor squalor. The heavy drapery blocking the windows is a deep burgundy, creating an atmosphere of highly exclusive aesthetic urgency. I sink deeply into the incredibly plush, tufted upholstery, surrounded by an astonishing collection of scarlet tapestry. The illumination is provided by a rosy, flattering chandelier, making every single patron look undeniably magnificent here.
My shoes sink entirely into the remarkably thick ruby carpet, the most extravagantly designed interior
on the entire market.
A waitress balances a silver tray of brightly colored grenadine, the most highly saturated visual environment I've ever seen. I slide perfectly into the incredibly private circular leather booth, embracing this highly manufactured, deeply colorful truth. The wallpaper features a velvety dark cherry damask pattern, a profoundly luxurious sanctuary comparable to the
rings of Saturn, immersed entirely in this cardinal hue. A completely flushed, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow. The most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay. velvet, regal, scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment.
The mahogany tables are polished to a highly reflective shine, while the patrons heavily consume their expensive vintage wine. I observe the incredibly rich ruby-tinted stained glass, watching the beautifully dressed, sophisticated clientele pass. The ambient temperature is remarkably warm and inviting, perfectly complementing the deeply atmospheric ruby lighting. A monochromatic masterpiece of absolute interior luxury, a phenomenally expensive, highly curated sanctuary.
My fingernails perfectly match the velvet cushions of the chair, a highly coordinated, deeply meticulous aesthetic affair. The bartender wipes the counter with a scarlet-colored rag, while a patron retrieves a lipstick from her expensive bag. We are utterly enveloped by this warm, undeniably rich tone, feeling like royalty sitting directly upon a comfortable throne. The aesthetic consistency is remarkably strict and severe. Absolutely no contrasting colors are ever permitted here. Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue, completely flushed, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow, the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic, regal, scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. To the profoundly plush, saturated environment, the ultimate aesthetic form of luxurious retirement. Red velvet, deep sink, ruby glass, fancy drink, scarlet glow, moving slow, relaxing inside magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic, regal, scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Lights dimming down, rich side of town, stay inside, nowhere to hide. Deep inside the subterranean, heavily vaulted brick cellar, resting silently beside the remarkably ancient wooden propeller. The distilled corn mash matures inside the heavy oak cask, a highly patient, biologically transformative, lengthy task. The fermentation process slowly alters the chemical composition, a highly respected, deeply historical distilling tradition. The temperature fluctuates slightly with the changing season, extracting the robust flavors for a highly specific reason.
The master distiller inspects the heavily charred wooden staves, where the sleeping liquid remarkably quietly behaves. The interior burning creates a highly caramelized, sugary crust, a manufacturing technique that the distillery workers trust. The alcohol slowly breathes through the porous timber grain, a deeply complex, magnificent agricultural domain. We wait patiently for 12 entire uninterrupted years, while the magnificent amber-colored liquor finally appears. The angels take their atmospheric, evaporated share, leaving a highly concentrated, robust essence there. A botanical maturation happening completely in the dark, leaving an incredibly distinctive, flavorful mark. Oh, I pour in a heavy glass of this aged bourbon, a deeply intoxicating, magnificent rural sermon. The dark amber liquid heavily coats the crystal tumbler, making the intoxicated consumer a terrible mumbler. A deeply smoky, incredibly rich, vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. I pulled a heavy cork directly from the bottleneck opening, listening to the magnificent syrupy liquid quietly singing. The viscosity is incredibly thick, resembling molasses, as I distribute the vintage liquid into the waiting glasses. The aroma is incredibly potent, featuring a hint of peat, a remarkably satisfying, highly sophisticated adult treat. The initial sip provides a significantly warm, soothing burn, a magnificent reward that we absolutely had to earn. The robust flavor profile aggressively coats my entire palate, striking my sensory perception like a heavy wooden mallet. I detect the subtle notes of toasted toffee and dark leather, a beverage designed explicitly for the coldest winter weather. The distillation apparatus performed its mechanical duty well, creating a highly magnificent, intoxicating amber spell. We swirl a heavy liquid gently against the crystal rim, while the illumination in the tasting room grows heavily dim. The angels take their atmospheric, evaporated share, leaving a highly concentrated, robust essence there. A botanical maturation happening completely in the dark, leaving an incredibly distinctive, flavorful mark. Oh, pour in a heavy glass of this aged bourbon, a deeply intoxicating, magnificent rural sermon. The dark amber liquid heavily coats the crystal tumbler, making the intoxicated consumer a terrible mumbler. A deeply smoky, incredibly rich, vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. Agricultural carol. The oak infuses the spirit with a highly magnificent grace, a beautiful maturation occurring in this subterranean place. Swallow the heavy vintage and feel the magnificent heat, a beautifully crafted, traditionally distilled world feed. Full carg, tip
incredibly rich vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. Glass is empty, feel the gravity. Barrel rests past the test. Pursing my lips against the cold golden mouthpiece, hoping this subtle conversation will never cease. I exhale a delicately measured, remarkably gentle sigh, allowing the cylindrical tubing to softly multiply.
The frequency of my
Incredibly intimate, unspoken thought,
a covert
auditory exchange that cannot be easily caught. The metallic alloy warms up from the friction of my breath, playing a beautifully hushed serenade right unto death.
Finger in the slick, lubricated valves with extreme precision, executing a highly calculated, incredibly quiet musical decision. I compress the airflow into a remarkably subtle low hum, waiting patiently for the gentle acoustic hum. The bell of the horn is entirely obstructed by a heavy mute, transforming the loud blare into something wonderfully astute. A secretive dialogue bypassing the human vocal cords, earning the most prestigious underground auditory awards. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained, speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers, covered language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe, a deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this jive, a purely instrumental discussion just like that. I adjust the tune and slide by a mere millimeter, making the harmonic resonance incredibly sweeter. The saliva accumulates slowly inside the water key, the physical reality of this beautiful acoustic decree.
My diaphragm controls the incredibly slow release of air, a highly disciplined technique executed with utmost care.
We trade 4-bar phrases in a highly conversational style,
maintaining this sultry muted interaction for a while.
The vibrato shakes
Gently at the very end of the note, a beautiful sentiment that nobody ever officially wrote.
I cup my left hand directly over the flared opening,
controlling exactly how the metallic vibrations are ringing.
A highly localized, incredibly private musical debate, occurring remarkably late upon this specific date.
The trumpet effectively replaces the need for my tongue, the softest, most delicate jazz standard ever sung, keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained. A highly delicate melody that must be maintained, speaking to the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchange in these highly secretive brass whispers, a covered language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe, a deeply seductive, sophisticating musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that. Remarkably soft, a beautiful demonstration of acoustic density. Let the metal communicate what the heart feels, a deeply resonant truth that the horn reveals. Breathe slow, keep it low, keep it low, press the valve, let it out, softest tongue all alone, exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers, a covered language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe, a deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that. Empty the lungs, song is sung, put it away, end of play. The gravitational pull of the moon dictates the water's pace, creating a remarkably tranquil, highly knitted space. Bioluminescent plankton begins to gently glow in the dark, leaving a mesmerizing, glowing, fluorescent blue mark. I walk completely barefoot along the incredibly soft shoreline, observing a natural oceanic phenomenon of perfect design. The tiny gentle ripples barely disturb the smooth sandy beach, providing a profound calmness that is comfortably within reach.
The estuary waters mix peacefully with the salty sea, a completely tranquil environment exclusively for you and me.
I collect smooth frosted sea glass scattered by the foam, finding a profound sense of comfort. This coastal home.
The lunar phases are beautifully perfect, waxing crescent, making the entire oceanic atmosphere wonderfully pleasant. A highly soothing, gentle retreat of the shallow water, nature acting as a profoundly gentle, caring daughter. The ebb and flow occurring at a whisper's volume, a deeply peaceful oceanic nighttime costume. The liquid retreats and gracefully returns,
therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity. The gentle foam kisses the tips of our toes, washing away every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away.
The coastal hermit crabs scurry into their spiraled shells, while the incredibly soft ocean current peacefully swells. I sit entirely still upon the large, smooth granite boulder, feeling the heavy burdens lifting entirely off my shoulder.
The reflections of the stars dance upon the glassy surface, a profoundly beautiful, highly calming, aquatic purpose. The seaweed floats gently in the mesmerizing shallow pool. The entire ecosystem is wonderfully, dependably cool.
The retreating liquid leaves intricate patterns in the wet dirt,
healing every single microscopic psychological hurt.
I synchronize my breathing with the rhythm of the gentle wash,
observing the tiny minnows swimming in the aquatic squash.
The lunar gravity acts
as a highly dependable silent guide, controlling the remarkably peaceful, wonderful melody.
We are lulled entirely into a state of profound relaxation,
the most effective natural form of mental pacification. The ebb and flow occurring at a whisper's volume, a deeply peaceful oceanic nighttime costume. The liquid retreats and gracefully returns, extinguishing the anxiety that heavily burns. Drifting alongside this incredibly mellow tide, nowhere for our psychological stresses to hide. A remarkably smooth liquid sort of therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity.
The gentle foam kisses
the tips of our toes,
washing away
every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away. The complicated world away. Let the current softly pull your worries out to sea. Embrace the gentle liquid form of absolute tranquility. The ocean breathes exactly like a sleeping giant, making our rigid human minds incredibly compliant. Inhale deep, water sweep, exhale slow, watch it go. Gentle wash, softest splash, drifting alongside this incredibly mellow tide, nowhere for our psychological stresses to hide. A remarkably smooth liquid sort of therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity. The gentle foam kisses the tips of our toes, washing away every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away. Ocean sleeps, water clear, peaceful night, lunar light. Sorting through the massive pile of dirty laundry on the bed, discovering the exact evidence that I had always fiercely dreaded. A highly distinct, unfamiliar discoloration upon the neckline, proving that your weekend activities were completely out of line. The woven cotton fabric holds the undeniable dirty truth. exposing the secret infidelity of your reckless, foolish youth. I inspect the garment closely under the bright bedroom light, confirming my worst suspicions on this terrible, ruined night.
I desperately try to formulate a believable, innocent excuse, while enduring this incredibly tense psychological abuse.
Sweat forms heavily upon my highly panicked, guilty brow. I cannot talk my way out of this disastrous situation now.
The button-down shirt was supposed to be thoroughly washed,
but my deceptive, terrible plan has been entirely quashed. I stare completely silently at the patterned bedroom rug, feeling like a highly exposed, thoroughly cornered, helpless bug. No amount of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread. Confronting the reality of this stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar. A visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room. A permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth.
I unbutton the cuffs with incredibly trembling, shaking hands, unable to meet your highly righteous, furious demand. The washing machine spins loudly in the adjacent utility hall, while my entire deceptive empire begins to completely fall. I offer a pathetic
apology that sounds incredibly insincere, understanding that the end of our partnership is entirely near.
The visual evidence is far
too overwhelming to ever deny. I am caught completely inside my own terrible, selfish lie. I toss the ruined garment directly into the metal trash bin, refusing to accept the consequences of your terrible sin. The laundry basket overflows with the remnants of your deceits. A highly devastating, incredibly painful, romantic defeat. I demand that you pack your belongings and quickly depart, taking your terribly flawed, untrustworthy, deceptive heart. The discoloration remains a highly permanent, ugly scar, showing exactly how incredibly wicked you truly are. No amount of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread. Confronting the reality of the stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar. A visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room. A permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth. The chemical solvents cannot remove the awful trace, erase the lying expression right off of your face. The fabric is ruined, the material is totally torn, a terrible catastrophe that leaves us deeply worn.
scrub hard, so deep, lies told.
Now weep, rinse out, loud shout, loud shout, loud. Confronting the reality of the stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar. A visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room. A permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric eating up. Throw it out in the doubt, close the door, nevermore. Deep inside the subterranean, heavily vaulted brick cellar, resting silently beside the remarkably ancient wooden propeller. The distilled corn ash matures inside the heavy oak cask, a highly patient, biologically transformative, lengthy task. The fermentation process slowly alters the chemical composition, a highly respected, deeply historical distilling tradition. The temperature fluctuates slightly with the change in season, extracting the robust flavors for a highly specific reason.
The master distiller inspects the heavily charred wooden staves, where the sleeping liquid remarkably quietly behaves. The interior burning creates a highly caramelized, sugary crust, a manufacturing technique that the distillery workers trust. The alcohol slowly breathes through the porous timber grain, a deeply complex, magnificent agricultural domain. We wait patiently for 12 entire uninterrupted years, while the magnificent amber-colored liquor finally appears. The angels take their atmospheric, evaporated share, leaving a highly concentrated, robust essence there. A botanical maturation happening completely in the dark, leaving an incredibly distinctive, flavorful mark. Pour in a heavy glass of this aged bourbon, a deeply intoxicating, magnificent rural sermon. The dark amber liquid heavily coats the crystal tumbler, making the intoxicated consumer a terrible mumbler. A deeply smoky and incredibly rich vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. I pulled a heavy cup directly from the bottleneck opening, listening to the magnificent syrupy liquid quietly singing. The viscosity is incredibly thick, resembling molasses, as I distribute the vintage liquid into the waiting glasses. The aroma is incredibly potent, featuring the hint of peat, a remarkably satisfying, highly sophisticated adult treat. The initial sip provides a significantly warm, soothing burn, a magnificent reward that we absolutely had to earn. The robust flavor profile aggressively coats my entire palate, striking my sensory perception like a heavy wooden mallet. I detect the subtle notes of toasted toffee and dark leather, a beverage designed explicitly for the coldest winter weather. The distillation apparatus performed its mechanical duty well, creating a highly magnificent, intoxicating amber spell. We swirl the heavy liquid gently against the crystal rim, while the illumination in the tasting room grows heavily dim. The
A botanical maturation happening completely in the dark, leaving an incredibly distinctive flavorful mark. Pouring a heavy glass of this aged bourbon, a deeply intoxicating, magnificent rural sermon. The dark amber liquid heavily coats the crystal tumbler, making the intoxicated consumer a terrible mumbler. Oh, deeply smoky, incredibly rich, vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. The oak infuses the spirit with a highly magnificent grace, a beautiful maturation occurring in this subterranean place. Swallow the heavy vintage and feel the magnificent heat. A beautifully crafted, traditionally distilled rural feed. Pour cork, take the spout, rich liquid flowing out, swirl slow, feel the glow. Pouring a heavy glass of this aged bourbon, a deeply intoxicating, magnificent rural sermon. The dark amber liquid heavily coats the crystal tumbler, making the intoxicated consumer a terrible mumbler. A deeply smoky, incredibly rich, vanilla-scented profile, making the lengthy waiting period incredibly worthwhile. Fermented gracefully inside the traditional charred barrel, singing a beautifully potent agricultural carol. Deep inside the subterranean, heavily vaulted brick cellar, resting silently beside the remarkably ancient wooden propeller. The distilled core mash matures inside the heavy oak cask, a highly patient, biologically transformative, lengthy task. The fermentation process slowly alters the chemical composition. A highly respected, deeply historical. A thick, impenetrable fog grows deeply through the narrow lane, slightly dampening my coat with a remarkably fine, misty rain. The vintage gas lights flicker with a weak, yellowish glow, illuminating the incredibly slippery, wet path down below. I pull the collar of my heavy trench coat up around my neck, refusing to let the chilling, mysterious atmosphere wreck my incredibly secretive, highly clandestine midnight stroll. A deeply noir-inspired cinematic journey for the soul.
I tilt the brim of my fedora entirely down over my eyes, adopting a highly sophisticated, completely unreadable disguise. My leather loafers click distinctly against the ancient streets. Highly rhythmic, incredibly steady.
I follow the mysterious silhouette darting around the corner, acting like a secretive, highly observant, silent mourner. The Victorian architecture looms heavily on either side, providing a magnificent shadowy place for secrets to hide. Echoing footsteps bounding off the brick walls, ignoring a mysterious distant phantom calls. A highly atmospheric, deeply European gloom, navigating the corridors of this outdoor room, taking this incredibly moody cobblestone walk, a deeply secretive place where nobody talks, engaged in a highly elusive midnight chase, navigating the incredibly dark ancient space.
The fog entirely obscures our final destination, a remarkably thrilling nocturnal investigation. Slinking quietly through the completely empty alley, the most mysterious, shadowy urban valley. I light a wooden match just to briefly illuminate my face, adding a tiny spark of warmth to this chilling damp place. The smoke from my cigarette mingles perfectly with the mist, a highly cinematic, deeply mysterious, romantic twist. I check the silver pocket watch attached to my heavy chain, waiting precisely for the midnight whistling steam train. The masonry beneath my feet is hundreds of years old, a structural witness to the incredible secrets currently told. I hide silently behind a massive towering brick pillar, observing the atmosphere growing significantly stiller. The clicking of your footsteps slowly approaches my spot, a highly anticipated, deeply thrilling, romantic plot. We meet entirely under the glow of the flickering lamp, ignoring the incredibly pervasive, bone-chilling damp. A secret rendezvous executed with phenomenal precision, a highly calculated, incredibly risky midnight decision. Echoing footsteps bounding off the brick walls, ignoring the mysterious distant phantom calls. A highly atmospheric, deeply European gloom, navigating the corridors of this outdoor room, taking this incredibly moody cobblestone walk, a deeply secreted place where nobody talks, engaged in the highly elusive midnight chase, navigating the incredibly damp ancient space. The fog entirely obscures our final destination,
A remarkably thrilling nocturnal investigation,
slinking quietly through the completely empty alley,
the most mysterious, shadowy urban valley. The clock tower chimes 12 times in the dark. We leave without making a single physical mark. The heavy fog swallows our mysterious silhouettes, the most secretive encounter that the city gets. Step, click, lamp, wick, hide, near, do not fear. Turn right, fade from sight, taking this incredibly moody cobblestone walk, a deeply secreted place where nobody talks, engaged in a highly elusive midnight chase, navigating the incredibly damp ancient space.
the fog entirely obscures
A final destination, a remarkably thrilling nocturnal investigation,
slinking quietly through the completely empty alley,
the most mysterious, shadowy urban valley. Fog rose and secrets spin, footsteps fade in the shade. massive pile of dirty laundry on the bed, discovering the exact evidence that I had always fiercely dread. A highly distinct, unfamiliar discoloration upon the neckline, proving that your weekend activities were completely out of line. The woven cotton fabric holds the undeniable dirty truth, exposing the secret infidelity of your reckless, foolish youth. I inspect the garment closely under the bright bedroom light, confirming my worst suspicions on this terrible, ruined night.
I desperately tried to formulate a believable, innocent excuse, while enduring this incredibly tense psychological abuse. Sweat forms heavily upon my highly panicked, guilty brow. I cannot talk my way out of this disastrous situation now. The button-down shirt was supposed to be thoroughly washed, but my deceptive, terrible plan has been entirely quashed. I stare completely silently at the patterned bedroom rug, feeling like a highly exposed, thoroughly cornered, helpless bug.
No amount of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread, confronting the reality of the stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar, a visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room, a permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth.
I unbutton the cuffs with incredibly trembling, shaking hands, unable to meet your highly righteous, furious demands. The washing machine spins loudly in the adjacent utility hall, while my entire deceptive empire begins to completely fall. I offer a pathetic apology that sounds incredibly insincere, understanding that the end of our partnership is entirely near. The visual evidence is far too overwhelming to ever deny. I'm caught completely inside my own terrible, selfish lie. I toss the ruined garment directly into the metal trash bin, refusing to accept the consequences of your terrible sin. The laundry basket overflows with the remnants of your deceit, a highly devastating, incredibly painful romantic defeat. I demand that you pack your belongings and quickly depart, taking your terribly flawed, untrustworthy, deceptive heart. The discoloration remains a highly permanent, ugly scar, showing exactly how incredibly wicked you truly are. No amounts of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread, confronting the reality of the stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar, a visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room, a permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth. Catastrophe that leaves us deeply worn. Scrub hard, so deep,
Lies told,
now we
rinse out,
loud shout.